Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things going on in the world of professional wrestling. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. It's Thursday, and you know what that means. It's time to cover AEW's Dynamite for April 1st. But before we get into it, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Don Bella, joined as always by my twin caster, Josh Bella. You know who we are, you know where we are, and you know what we're here to do. So, let's get into it.
You can listen, but you can't see. Boom.
You can listen, but you can't. Oh.
All right. Nice. We're a smoke show. You can look, but you can't touch. Um. So this episode of AEW Dynamite comes to us from the Great Northern Tundra, our neighbor country, Canada, in Manipeg, Manitoba. Wait a minute, I don't think I
Canada.
got that right. Winnipeg, Manitoba, from the Canada Life Center. And man, I thought they opened the show with an April Fool's gag. Because Shivani is starting the show trying to, he's in the ring on the mic and he's trying to get this signing set up between MJF and Kenny Omega. And then suddenly Fireworks interrupt him and he's like, what the hell? And then Fireworks interrupt again and he's like, all right. He's got that look that says somebody in production's getting a stern talking to later. But then all of a sudden Judas starts playing and we're like, what?
What?
A
Yeah.
returning Chris Jericho shows up to Judas, not I am the learning tree, and
Thankfully.
makes his way to the ring. At some point between him coming out and the crowd singing his song, Shivani managed to get out of the ring. That's impressive because it takes him about 45 years to do so.
Listen, now you stop. You ain't gonna be just talking crazy about Mr. Chavone, okay? Now you stop
Tone
that.
Schiavone,
The tone Chavone, yeah.
I would agree that I'm talking crazy if I wasn't spitting absolute facts. But I digress. Bye. Tony exits the ring. Jericho makes it to the ring. The crowd seems to be singing Judas like they had not forgotten any of the lyrics. And then Jericho stands in the ring for a protracted amount of time. I guess the crowd wasn't popping as hard as he wanted, or he wanted more. So he's standing there
I
looking
think
at
he had
him.
a time, like, yeah, I think he had a specific amount of time and a Pacific, if you will, and he was gonna use all of it. Like the audience was quieting down because I think they were expecting him to talk, but then he'd be like, "Ah," and then they'd be like, ah.
It's true. And he did get several chants of welcome back and just Jericho. And surprisingly, for the first time in his lengthy career, Jericho didn't have a ton to say. He finally gets the mic and then he says, let's see, what exactly did he say? It was like three things, and I want to make sure I get them right. He says
Winnipeg,
Winnipeg, and then the crowd's
yeah.
like, ah. And then he says AEW, and the crowd pops even harder. And then he finishes with, I'm home. And then he drops the mic and he heads out of the ring to, I believe, more Judas.
Yeah.
And we were surprised. We're like, April Fools, that ain't real.
I made, if you guys know, then you know, but you know that face the Grinch makes whenever whenever he's about to do something devious or he's come up with a very evil plan? That is the face I made whenever I saw that Chris Jericho was back. Because I was like, um, But I thought you were going to WWE. Guess not. Boop.
Yeah, there was so much reporting that that was going to be the case. They were like, he's
Yeah,
coming to WWE.
I am not talking shit about WWE or trying to start no bullshit there. What I am saying is that there were so many people, WrestleMania in particular. I usually watch that channel because he's got. I mean, that dude makes.
75 videos an hour.
Yeah, I don't know how, but it's a machine over there. Uh, but he was hella convinced that Chris Jericho was gonna show up. First, it was what, Royal Rumble.
Yep.
Uh,
Actually, I think at first they were like, it's speculated he's going to appear on this Raw. No, wait, it's speculated he's going to appear on this SmackDown. And then it was like,
yeah,
for sure, he's going to be at Royal Rumble. And
can't believe it's
so, like everybody and their brother, I'm not trying to single out WrestleMania. That's where we looked, but it
yeah.
was only one of the places. Like everybody was sure he was coming to WWE.
Yeah. Like it's not like they were printing false information. It's just everybody was convinced because of the stuff that he would insinuate, the things that people like saw or heard, him getting really into shape. Everybody just knew that he was gonna go and have his retirement run back in WWE because that would
Oh
be
yeah,
technically his home. Um,
yeah.
so
Because I
people
mean,
were extremely surprised about it.
he clearly wanted to go back to WWE just to be retired by Gunter in one more of those types of matches and have
Yeah, and
his
I,
have his retirement completely butt fuck fumbled by WWE.
yeah, no, I have to say that I think he made the right choice right now because WWE's on fire, and they're making crazy decisions. As
And
far as
not in
I'm
the good
concerned,
way.
they're making some crazy decisions with their storylines. Like it's kind of desperate, and I get it, desperate times, right? But some of the stuff that they're changing or trying to force just kind of feels well forced, just that, unnecessarily so. If they had just let certain things just naturally flow, like Carmelo keeping the belt and then having a match with Trick because they had a feud before he left NXT, that would have just been much easier than taking the belt off of him and giving it back to Sammy. But whatever. We're not here to
Yeah.
talk about
Nope.
WWE. It's just some of the stuff that they're doing. I could totally see why Chris Jericho would be like, nah, I think I'm gonna stay here and finish my contract out, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what maybe he'll go back after his contract is done. And if he does, I'm not gonna begrudge him. Like, awesome, dude. You do you. Go where the money is. Go where the fans are. Do you? You've had a long, illustrious career. You can make your decisions. You've done it for years, you know. So I ain't
Here's
tripping. But
here's my humble speculation on how all that went down.
yeah,
Chris Jericho was starting to get like the crowd was starting to turn on him. They were chanting things like, retire.
yeah,
And Chris Jericho, I think, took a year off to focus on other things and to also get into really good shape because when he appeared last night, he has trimmed up considerably.
yeah.
He's looking in really good shape. He was sporting a cool like musketeer slash rogue style mustache. He was looking on point, and I think everybody read that as, oh snap, he's leaving. And even though like you said they weren't reporting fake news, but like fairly early on in that particular news cycle or rumor cycle, I should say, WWE said there's no plans for Chris Jericho, and we've got no anything for him at this time. And I think everybody either ignored that or they thought WWE was, swerving folks with it. That they didn't, sure you say that, but we don't believe
Yeah.
it until Jericho shows up in AEW, and looky there, AEW, it wasn't all of what everyone was saying. Like Jericho wants out of there and blah, blah, blah. Like I swear to God, people want to run AEW into the ground so hard. Meanwhile, WWE is literally on fire and doing all of the things they wished AEW was.
Yeah.
Like all the bad things, I should say.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jericho looked amazing. I do think he wanted to take himself out of the limelight. Jericho, if he's anything, he's very good at reading the room and knowing when his character is over and knowing when he needs to take a break and then come back and be welcomed back instead of people being sick of seeing him. And here I think he wanted to put some distance on the learning tree because he came back clearly, playing Judas. So he's trying to get back to that guy. And I'm here for it because I liked that guy way more than I Am the Learning Tree comedic act.
Yeah.
I mean, I can appreciate he was trying to help out Big Bill and, the bad apple Brian Keith. But, for the sake of his own career, I think this was the wise move. And it worked. Like everybody was pretty hyped to see him there. I think the crowd was stunned because they probably anybody who follows wrestling outside of being at the show, they were probably like, "Wait, I thought this dude was going to WWE."
Yeah.
So hell of a way to open the show. Like we were immediately wigs back in Winnipeg is what we'll call that. And it doesn't look like it was an April Fool's Day trick. Like it looks like Jericho is back, so that's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. Um, Following that pretty fire segment to start the show, we see Will Ospreay attacking John Moxley backstage, just giving it to him, like he's throwing him up on the travel crates and beating the crap out of him. And then along comes Shorn Skull Yuta to try and do something, and all he does is briefly offer a different punching bag to Will Ospreay's forearms
Yeah.
before
He's
he
like,
gets
hit
back to
me
beating on
now.
Moxley. And then security, air quotes, shows up and peels them apart. And Marina Shafir is like all mad sounding, sporting her very Christmassy bright red sweater.
God, man, you are vicious tonight.
Hey,
House
she
for
looked great in
blood.
it. I'm just saying it's not like the most intimidating thing. Like it's
Merry
like,
Christmas.
oh, she looks cute. She's ready to go for the holiday tour.
Happy
Not
holidays.
this is the vicious problem of UFC caliber. She looked like she was getting ready for like a night out with Roderick.
Hey, whoa, Marina, before you go out there, the weather outside is frightful.
Hey, I mean, it looked good. It just didn't look the part. That's all I'm saying.
But the fire is so delightful. You really don't have any place to go, all right? Just let it snow out there. You chill in here, okay?
Yeah, but after she came out, the last thing we hear is Will Ospreay saying he's going to fucking kill Moxley.
Yeah.
And then we actually get to the AEW World Championship contract
Oh yeah,
signing that
right.
Tone
That.
Schiavone was trying so hard to open the show with. And first comes out MJF, and then out comes Kenny Omega. Yeah,
With no
yep,
shirt.
no
Listen,
shirt,
I just
shirtless
really saw
Omega.
him shirtless Omega. Yeah, look at you. Twinsies. You see, guys? You see? You see. You understand?
Yep.
Yeah, no. He is the shirtless wonder now. I guess because he's leaning into the wrestling god. He just feels like he's gonna go around like an angel with no with no shirt. And I am fully expecting him to come out with wings one day. I'm telling you, he's gonna come out with some white wings.
I mean, if Omega's gonna be an angel, it's gonna be a one-winged angel. It'd be one black wing.
That would be awesome. He could lean into that. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I think so. I don't know. We were speculating because like now it's kind of a thing. Like the last show we saw Omega on, he didn't wear a shirt and appeared all night like no shirt. He like at
No
any
shirt.
point outside of his match, he could have found a shirt, but he was like, "Nah, man, you can't suppress these nips." So
No, and they were
he did
out
it
and
again.
about. They were out to
He
play.
right once you unleash them, you can't corral these.
They were like,
Um,
"Night!"
So he did it again on this evening. The entire night, like
I
no
was like,
shirt.
this fool ain't even got no match. No, he did. He did. It's like after,
He did.
but I was like, this fool ain't even got no match. She's I heard no shirt on. Like, you need to stop bouncing your little
But
man titties.
but by later in the evening, he didn't want to be oppressed by the long pants either. So he found like some little shorts. And so he's just like out there giving it all to the crowd. Like I guess he saw that that was working for Andrade, so he's like, "Shirt, be gone."
He was like, Andrade Light, psh, whatever. Check this out.
Yeah. Although I'm sure if we asked the announce team, they would be like, "Oh no, it's because it irritates his diverticulitis."
Yes, he needs to take his shirt off because it constricts his diverticulitis, and if he doesn't walk out with no shirt, he could die at any minute. Like if he's insulated too much. If he's got too many layers on the top
Intestinal
part of his
explosion.
body, his intestines will explode and he will die. He cannot warm his body up too much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Little known side effect of diverticulitis.
Yes. Yes. Just imminent gastro explosion from being too warm. Like that's why he has to go around with no shirt on all the time. He sleeps with no cover.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't sit by a
I, I
fire.
I previously thought that like intestinal explosions were a product of Taco Bell or
Oh
too
God, he
many chili
cannot eat
dogs,
Taco Bell. Yeah, he
but
can't eat Taco
no.
Bell. Chili dogs are out. All that's gone. He can't have anything spicy. Anything spicy hits his gut, and there we go, gone. I don't know
Yeah,
how he's wrestling. Like if the wind blows too hard, um, and it gets his belly button, he's done for.
yeah. And that was pretty much the point that Max ended up making when they were talking. Like
Oh yeah.
initially Max wanted to talk some smack as they sat down to sign this contract, and Kenny Omega was like, "Nah, brah, shut your mouth. Since we're in Canada, allow me, ferme la bouche," which just means close your mouth in French for those that weren't sure. Um,
Hermes Labouche. Got it.
that's Texas French right there.
Nailed it.
Hermes la bouche.
Hermes Labouche, please.
It goes well with these horse duvers.
Hey, Labouche, pour favor.
Oh no, now it's Texas French Spanish.
Yep.
But Omega says he knows all the dirty tricks MJF's gonna be up to, but he reiterates, other people call him the god of wrestling. If that's what he needs to be to take down the devil in MJF, then he's more than willing to do it. And then MJF was like, "Oh, that's cool story, bro. Except I talked to your doctor, and cause forget HIPAA, but cause Max can just go to Kenny's doctor, and Kenny's doctor is gonna spill the beans on the whole thing. But
Yeah.
he's like,
Probably a female
your
doctor.
your
Wink,
guts
wink.
are hanging in there by a thread because of the diverticulitis. At any time, the whole reason you're so eager to get this championship belt is because you're a ticking time bomb. At any moment, your whole guts could explode. And I think he finishes off with, your fans are going to see this and they're going to have to admit you're a false idol who would be better off dead. And that last comment was an attempt to incite Kenny Omega to hit him because there was a no contact clause. And if that was broken, then the match would be called off. So, of course, MJF is trying to get him to hit him because, why have a match? But as Omega stands up and knocks the table over, out comes Speedball Mike Bailey, the other most Canadian in Canada. And he tries to cool Omega down, and then he ends up getting in MJF's face, goading him by saying, "Look, of course you don't want to end up having a match against Kenny Omega because he would beat you. But I think you need some respect beaten into you tonight." And so Speedball ends up challenging MJF to a match right then and there. And surprisingly, The heel didn't go right here. Yes. In Winnipeg. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No. You know, and then walking away being like, on my time. Instead, MJF was like, "You want to get your ass beat, Skippy? You got it tonight in the main event of Dynamite. But
I,
know this:
I'm
I'm gonna
about
make an
to whip
example out of you."
somebody's ass.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and he made sure that it wouldn't just be regular unleaded MJF that he gets tonight. No, 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 no. In order to make sure that everyone realizes that Canada's a dump, MJF is going to be American hero MJF, hailing from the greatest country in the world, the
God.
United States of America.
Oh Lord. Boy, I'm tired about him. Okay.
Yeah. But that did make official Speedball versus MJF in an AEW World Championship Eliminator match in the main event of Dynasty, meaning
I'm so
that if
happy.
was that
I'm so happy that because I mean, they wouldn't have had a main event otherwise. It would have been a
right,
very,
right. What were they planning otherwise? Yeah.
yeah, boring
Um.
show.
Right. Show over. No main event tonight.
And also, if there was a main event already scheduled, who was it? And I'd be mad as hell. I'm like, wait a minute.
Right? Like, wait. Oh, we got bumped, guys. Sorry.
What the hell? Yeah.
But that led us into the first match of the night, and since Shirtless Omega was already out there,
Shirtless.
they only needed to bring out Jungle Jack Perry and Brody King in order to face off against their opponents, The Demand, Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona. And what were your thoughts on this six-man tag?
I thought it was a great opener. They definitely got the right energy. Man, I'm telling you, I'm so happy that Jack Perry is a face again because I feel like him being a face or a heel is tied into what he does in the ring. Like when he was a heel, he was much more methodical and slower, boring, much more Daniel Garcia-esque. Um, and like honestly, those matches were boring. I'm like, bro, you can do all the crazy shit. What are we doing? He just stopped doing that. And then becomes a face again and he's back to it and he's just so much more entertaining. Like watching him go against somebody like Ricochet is just it's so freaking good. And it makes me oh so happy. Um I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're doing with Brody King, but I feel like he has definitely earned a higher spot. Like I feel like he needs a singles belt now. Um, and I hope that he eventually gets that because I mean, what they're just gonna keep putting him in tag teams. Like he doesn't need tag team. He is a tag team. Like
He is
Brody
his own
King.
tag team.
Yeah, like him being in this match. Um, the only thing that kind of uh was a counterbalance to him was I think Toa. Is Toa the big dude?
Yeah, Toa Leona. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Toa Leona. So that's good, but in any other situation, with a normal size wrestler, Brody King is enough for two people. Like, and I really wish that they would just kind of uh make it such, make it so. I'm not really sure what the holdup is. Um, but I feel like it's time for him to get some sort of singles belt, man. Like, what are we doing? Come on.
Yeah, I agree, especially since they were pitting him up against MJF just before the last
Yeah,
pay-per-view.
yeah. On all these dudes that are with Kenny Omega are some top acts here. And where I'm including the Demand, Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona. Ricochet has done exactly what he intended to do. He took two people that were kind of not really known in AEW and put them in a much higher position. These guys are in a great spot right now and they are getting lots of attention and as long as they keep it going, as long as they keep that energy going and don't fall on their heads, Toa, looking at you, uh, then I think they got themselves a nice future here in AEW. I don't know how long they're gonna be the demand, but I think Ricochet's done a bang up job in pushing these guys. Um, yeah, and overall, this was one pleasant, refreshing opener for Dynamite. And I say it that way because uh Collision last Saturday didn't move us too much. And the
No,
opener
no.
was kind of mid. So this was back to form. And normally Dynamite starts almost immediately with the match. But all the fluff that came before it was entertaining as well. So I feel like they kept the momentum going with this match. And they didn't bore us immediately, even though we sat and watched a contract signing. We did lots of things. We sat and cheered for 5 minutes whenever uh
Jericho
Chris
came
Jericho
back.
came out. Yeah, so like there was a lot of stuff that happened before this, and it still kept high energy. I thought, just all in all, it was a very good opener. What did you think?
I absolutely agree. For the opening match of the night, there was a lot of good action in this. You got to see a lot of Ricochet and Kenny Omega in particular. I feel like we got the whole playbook from those two with some different spots from everybody else. There was a great spot between like the two biggest guys in there, between Toa Leona and Big Brody King, where Toa tried to smash into Brody King while Brody was on the barricade just in front of like the timekeeper's desk. And King gets out of the way and then, moves down the walkway a little bit and then runs and charges at Toa Leona and just like splashes over the top of the barricade with him, and they both go through the timekeeper's desk, and I'm like, that was like 600 pounds of dudes that just flew
Yeah,
out of the
legend has
ringside
it.
area.
Legend has it they still fall into this day. Just
Yeah, seriously. There was
eventually they'll
there
reach
was
China.
right, no shortage of suicide dives. There was I think we saw the entire playbook of Kenny Omega, save for maybe the Terminator plancha, because I think that got stifled by Ricochet. But we also saw some of the best of Ricochet, except he was never able to hit the Spirit Gun. He did hit Vertigo, and it looked really good. And we saw a fantastic 450 from him on top of all of the other crazy things that Ricochet will do. But ultimately, we end up with an end to this match because Perry and King end up taking, more or less out Khan and Leona. And so when it's left to just being Ricochet and Omega, finally secures the V trigger into the one-winged angel and just destroys Ricochet
Yeah.
outright
Good on
to pick up
Ricochet
the
for
win.
taking the pin, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, think that was pretty swell. Normally, I was fully expecting one of the other two guys, but again, I think Ricochet's doing a real great job of pushing these guys.
Yeah, I agree. And I Ricochet, I don't think has ever looked better than he looks in AEW right now.
No,
It's really
absolutely
fun
not.
to call him bald and make fun of his character in the kayfabe, but
Yeah,
as an actual performer, Ricochet is killing it out there. And you're right, he's done a great job elevating the Gates of Agony.
yeah,
Um, I would suggest potentially he's doing a better job with them than Jericho ended up doing with Big Bill and Brian Keith.
yeah. Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, because Big Bill and Brian Keith like are nowhere to be seen, whereas the demand is seen like at least weekly on Collision or Dynamite, if not a little of both.
Yeah.
Either in promo spots or matches. And this was a fairly high profile match. Like you said, I mean, you've got Kenny Omega, who is like one of the top guys. I mean, like if you were going to pick three of like the guys that are probably the tops, the EVPs would be up there. You've got Omega and the Young Bucks. And so, he's given the rub to everybody in that ring. He's got Jungle Jack Perry next to him. He's got Brody King next to him. And they're facing off against the Demand, and it just elevates the whole thing. Like all of these guys are really, really good.
Yeah.
I will give one caveat. I appreciate that Toa Leona, as he's dropped weight or at least shifted some of the weight, and so he's feeling spry. But maybe not do moonsaults and crazy stuff where you could die.
Yeah.
That
Stop
would
it.
be good. That said, he did throw like a little bit of a call out to like Braun Strowman almost, because he did that like run around the ring like a freight train thing that Braun Strowman used to do all the time.
Yeah.
And the one other spot that I'd like to mention, because it's going to become relevant in another 6-person tag match later, they did the spot where, somebody initially starts out going to suplex somebody else, and that gets stifled. And then, one of the person's tag partners locks in. So now it's 2 people for the German suplex instead of 1. And this proceeds to build until all 6 men are set up in the suplex position. And in this particular instance, I want to say that the side that was able to get the suplex off was Omega's team. So
Yeah.
we had the big 6-person suplex. That spot went off without a hitch here in the men's match. It is attempted again later in a women's 6-tag match, and not to the same effect. But we'll explore that more when we get there. But it was worth mentioning that this spot occurred here in this one
And looked fantastic. Yeah.
and looked fantastic.
Like that in general isn't one of my favoriteest moves. It's kind of gimmicky, but it's a classic, and if done right, it can be very entertaining. And I feel like
If
they,
done right and used sparingly.
yeah, and I feel like the guys did that. And that's all I'm gonna say about that until we get to the other match.
Yeah. But following that match, pretty much straightforward win. Omega, hitting the one winged angel on Ricochet to pick up the 1-2-3. We're taken backstage where Willow Nightingale issues perhaps the politest, most smiley, happy, open challenge for Collision. Um, she says, she's offering an open challenge for her TBS championship, but she might be the TNT champion a bit because she's going to be on Collision. And she wants to wrestle the very best. And so she says all of that as politely and as big smiles as only Willow Nightingale can. So she's
Yeah,
going to have a big match tomorrow night on Collision, because this week they are doing a Wednesday Dynamite, Thursday Collision taping. Um, I would only presume, because the pay-per-view isn't this weekend, it's the next weekend after. I have to presume that's because of like basketball or some other sports thing that they would be competing with.
yeah, I think so. I think you are correct.
And then following that, we are taken to Rennie Packett, who is looking cute as a button, as she always does. And she says she had heard that Cope and Christian Cage had arrived, and she was looking to get a word in with them. And she just so happened to be in the right place at the right time, because shortly after saying that, Cage and Cope walk in through a hallway, and they're both carrying chairs. And
Yeah.
it doesn't look like they're looking for a cool spot to sit to watch the show.
No, they coming in for some gang activity, little thugs.
Yeah. And Cope, I think, stops and says, "Look, Renee, I know you're just doing your job, but they're here to take out FTR and anyone who gets in their way." And upon hearing the words, "anyone gets in their way," Cage rears back like he's about to smack Renee Packett. And Cope's like, "No, no, 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 no. Not Renee. She's not in the way. Look, we can go around." And Cage just nods and lowers the chair and then proceeds to past all of it. And Cage is just looking at him like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, my
And
man.
as 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 the camera turns, as Copeland starts to follow Cage away, you hear him saying things like, "Renee, really, really."
Oh, you gotta love it.
Indeed. But that segment continues as Cage and Cope are shown in the back having found what looks like FTR's locker room, but when they get in there, it turns out that Dax, Cash, and Stoke are actually going to use that locker room on Collision where they intend to be. So they're not here now, they'll be here tomorrow night. But who they do find is Don Callis family members Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero. And so Cope says, they look like they're in our way. And Kate says, yeah, hey, deliver a message for FTR for us. And they're like, "Sure." And then the message is they get beaten within an inch of their lives by both Cage and Cope with chairs.
Yeah, I'd like to see them deliver that message.
I really want to see them deliver that message, like blow for blow, word for word.
Go forth and
That's going to be
deliver.
fun. Because the upshot of that is that we'll get to see Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero get their asses kicked twice in the same week, and that's Christmas.
Absolute Christmas.
But following that segment, as fun as it was to watch Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta get laid out with chairs, we come to Will Ospreay versus the Bastard Pack of the Death Riders,
Oof.
and the Bastard makes his entrance first. And then Ospreay sits up to do his whole entrance. And while this is going on, Renee Paquette is kind of at ringside giving commentary as the men are making their way to the ring. But when Ospreay is on the entrance ramp doing his pose and everyone's ready to sing Ospreay, Ospreay, Pac comes around behind him and just blasts him in the back of the neck with a big boot, and then throws Ospreay's jacket off and onto the sides there. Hopefully, if a fan caught it, they gave it back. Um, and Pac then proceeds to drill Ospreay on the entrance ramp with a brainbuster. And there's much ado being made about Ospreay's recently surgically repaired neck. So Ospreay and the trainers are on the entrance ramp for quite some time because Ospreay is selling like his neck is destroyed. And it's looking like we're going to not end up with a match, but Ospreay ain't going out like that. So he rolls back into the ring, and they're finally able to start the match. And what were your thoughts on this match?
I thought this. Well, first of all, Pac was fucking brutal. Like
Yeah,
they
that's
did
true.
not. They did not go gentle on Osprey. This was a great welcome the fuck back. Um and Pac, I mean I knew Pac was gonna be something serious, but holy cow. For a while there, it was looking kind of bad for Mr. Osprey. He did get some some smoke back, but for the most part I felt like Pac did a lot of ass whooping. Even down to how the match was won, with Osprey using the hold that Pac kept putting his ass in to get the pin.
The brutalizer.
Yeah, like Pac did exactly that. He lived by that name. But this was a really good match. I always like the fact that they just don't give you an easy win. They didn't give Osprey an easy win because the fans love him, and they're happy that he's back. They made it. They raised the stakes here. I knew that's what. I mean, I knew they were gonna do that whenever Pac was the person he was gonna have a match with, not Daniel Garcia, not like it couldn't have gotten any worse unless if he had one with Mark Davis, which that's gonna be crazy because that's coming. and they have a nice long history between the two of them. So, uh, woof. This was a crazy match. It was crazy, and it did a lot. It did a lot of storytelling, um, which I am here for. Uh, because Osprey's like the odds are not in his favor here, not at all. So I'm very interested to see how he's gonna pull this out. Yeah, he's the aerial assassin and he's fantastic, but there are some big dudes that can just ruffle stomp him into the floor in the Death Riders. So interested to see how we get to where we need to get when it comes to him and Moxley. What did you think?
Um, I felt odd watching this match because I'm a huge fan of Will Ospreay, right? Like I love Will Ospreay. I think he
Yeah,
might be my favorite wrestler writ large right now. If I have to pick one, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot to like in AEW and a lot of wrestlers that are super great. I mean, they really
yeah,
are the best wrestler. But Ospreay, I think, impressed me enough that he's one of my favorites. So I was super happy when he came back. But this match played out pretty much like Pac kicking the ever loving shit out of Will Ospreay until Ospreay managed to squeak out like a quick pinfall. And even the beatings didn't stop there because after that, Pac proceeds to beat him down, and out come all of the Death Riders, and they set up the chair around Osprey's neck again, like they're fixing to break it again. And I'm like, oh god damn it! But then Moxley keeps that from happening, and then more or less says to beat down Will Ospreay, "Look, man, for me this isn't personal. Don't make it personal. You came at us 6-on-1. How the hell did you think this was going to go?" Um, and then they all leave, and we're left with Ospreay getting like helped up and out of the ring, and so it's weird to see Ospreay getting this destroyed.
yeah,
But it did give Pac the opportunity to show out, and he was brutal.
yes,
I want to say it didn't feel like Ospreay got off that much offense. I think there was a point where he kind of charged up and wanted to, you know, clash with Pac on strikes. But other than that, I feel like the biggest offense I saw out of Will Ospreay was he hit Pac with a power bomb and then lifted him back up right into the position to hit a Styles clash. But at that point, because like the whole match, Pac's been brutalizing him on the neck area, so he just didn't have the quickness and the wherewithal because he's selling that his neck is destroyed to make a pin.
yeah,
Um, And then later, like Pac looks like he's delivering the like 1-2 punch of death to eliminate Ospreay by hitting a black arrow to Ospreay while Ospreay is face down. So it hits him in the middle of his back, and then that immediately transitions into the brutalizer, and it's from there that we sort of see the end of the match occur as Ospreay, starts to head for the ropes. Pac rolls him up, like rolls him further into the ring, but then Ospreay manages to pivot the momentum back the other direction to secure a quick 1-2-3 against Pac. And then I want to say Pac is going off on him, and Ospreay ends up hitting a very fast hidden blade, but he can't really follow that up, and that's when the rest of the Death Riders come out to finish it off. The first two Jackals being freaking Yuta and Daniel Garcia, but it's in short order followed up by Claudio and then Mox and Marina. So
yeah,
it was an excellent match. Um, I have no complaints about the match other than the fact, as a fan of Ospreay, it sucked watching him get his ass beat.
yeah. I agree there. But again, the
So
storytelling was interesting. I like
the
to see how
storytelling is
like.
good.
I'm really thinking, how the hell are you gonna get out of this? Like, how
I'm
are you gonna
starting
how
to
are you gonna
wonder,
how are you gonna get on top here? How are you gonna how?
yeah, outside of going and finding his own gang, I'm not sure how he deals with the numbers game of the Death Riders. And this was the most heel I think that the Death Riders have looked since Moxley's kind of returned to being almost a face.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the first times that, like, as a whole unit, they came back out and just beat the crap out of somebody that they've done in a minute. Um, so I don't know if that means that they're trying to make sure that Moxley and the Death Riders stay absolutely heels. It's just take Moxley more seriously.
Yeah. I don't know.
That
Not really
it's
sure
either
where they're
that
going. Yeah.
or Will Ospreay got beat down this hard. It's like, did you just jump him into the Death Riders? Because that looked like that looked like a gang initiation.
Welcome to the Death Riders. You work for us now. You don't know it, but welcome.
But it was brutal. Pac looked good here. Ospreay looked like an injured, individual getting his ass beat. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I hate seeing Will Ospreay on the down like that, like, because I know how dominant he can be. So I'm wanting, we waited for a long time for Will Ospreay to come back. I'm wanting to see him beat the fuck out of people, not get beat down.
Yeah. Well, let's hope. Let's hope he, because I mean, I'm thinking maybe he could do something like uh have a match where the rules are no interference, like nobody could come out during the match. That'd be helpful. That'd be good.
Yeah,
And then maybe he could have a fair match between him and Moxley and settle this where it's not, you know, 16 other dudes coming in there whooping his ass too.
yeah, and I agree with you, but I mean, let's face it. From go with Pac attacking him on the entrance ramp, like Pac just controlled the match like for 95%
Oh, for
of it.
sure.
So this
Yeah,
was
yeah,
literally just the beatdown of Will Ospreay is what we got here.
yeah. The, the beatdown of Will Ospreay.
Seriously.
That should be like
Uh
narrated by Morgan Freeman.
how do you ground an aerial assassin?
You grounded. Uh,
Right? It takes one mean bastard. That's the lesson here.
yeah,
But excellent match. Other than that, like if you're a fan of Will Ospreay, you were probably like, "Oh, come on, Will." But other than that, it was a really good match, and the Bastard Pack lived up to the name. Brutal looking, by the way. Just you weren't wrong when you were saying he was absolutely brutal in this. He was, and there was no punches pulled or kicks or anything else that was thrown at Will Ospreay's neck.
yeah.
Um, Following that match, we are brought to our second 6 participant match. It is the Triangle of Madness, which is Tekla, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue, versus the Brawling Lovebirds, which is the Brawling Birds, Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor, versus Mina Shirakawa. Not versus, sorry, with Mina Shirakawa. And what were your thoughts on this match?
This is very brief. It was okay. I hate, man, I remember saying the same thing when it came to the women's division in WWE whenever we were reviewing Raw and SmackDown. Um and it's kind of the same thing here. It was okay. Now, there was that obvious botch where they attempted the exact same move that you were talking about, that the guys did in their six-man match. Uh and they did perfectly. Um they tried this too, and it just did not. It was very clumsy. Um it looked very spur of the moment almost, and it's like, girls, what are y'all doing? Why? Like,
Yeah.
why? Who said let's give this a try? Who? Stop it. Get some help.
Well, yeah. Here was my issue with that spot.
Yeah.
if I may.
Yeah. Yeah.
One, we had two 6-person matches on this card, and surprisingly for a Dynamite, only 4 matches on the card. I imagine all that time left from contract signing and Jericho ate up 2 matches.
Yeah.
Um, so there's that. We have very few matches, two of which are triples matches. And in the first triples match, we already saw the big suplex spot. So here we've got the women, one like revisiting a spot that was a big spot in
Yes.
the earlier match. Then they take 3 times longer to set it up. And then the payoff is that literally all of them just collapse. Like the suplex looked like butt cheeks, and not in the fun way. I mean, not as many fun butt cheeks as are in this match. That wasn't one of them. This was
Mm-mm.
it was a bad call to use that spot for a variety of reasons. One, repetitiveness. Two, you didn't even do it as good. You did it badly.
Like that's a
So
huge spot. That's a standout. I would not have done that one when another match did it. Like
like one match ago, like it
yeah,
wasn't. There's
yes.
not a lot of distance even.
Yes, like I would not have made that choice. I would have immediately gone if that was in their moveset, I would have been like, "Hey, we need to switch that up and find something else because they just did that." And, it's this ain't this will just look like we're just copying them. Like it just happened. And that again, that is a noticeable set. Like that's a noticeable move, bro. You just like, I don't know.
Well,
I would have done something else.
I
Like
agree. I
a knee
wholeheartedly agree.
strike, is one thing. Throwing somebody in the corner, that's one thing. Throwing somebody in the ropes, throwing like all of these things are things that you'll see multiple times in in a night from different matches because those are just basic moves. But a move like that,
Yeah.
you don't see
And
that often. It stands out.
yep.
I would have changed it to something else. That's it.
Well, and it's a big spot that takes a while to set up, so it forces
Yes.
the audience's attention, like because there's literally
Yeah.
nothing else happening, and so all your focus is on it. So what made it worse was not just the repetition, but the fact that it took the women so long to get situated, and then it looked like they were struggling to get their timing coordinated. I mean, this is how it looked as a fan looking in.
Yeah.
And then when they finally pulled it off after the audience is made to watch them set this up for so long, it was a bad payoff because it just sort of collapsed.
Yeah.
So this was a very bad like whoever produced this match made a very awful call to use this spot for a variety of reasons. One, it's repetitive. Two, it was just done 2 matches earlier better by the men, and then it
Yeah.
just didn't play out right. So this spot kind of wrecked the match for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and it was easy to wreck though because the match itself was just okay. Um, it was just okay. I'm not really impressed with the well, Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor, they're just fine. I don't have an issue with them. The Triangle of Madness, however, is a struggle. Tekla, I got no issues with her. She's just fine. Sky Blue is being held down, as far as I'm concerned, by Julia Hart. And I don't even know where to go with that because like this is a former champion. Um, she just I feel like we're beating a dead horse at this point, but she just had a different vibe before she left and came back, and now she's come back, and I feel like everything she does is a phone in. Whereas Sky Blue, it's kind of a reverse story for Sky Blue. Before she left, I felt like everything she did was a phone in. She's come back, and I feel like she's taking this a lot more serious than Julia is. I'm not saying Julia isn't taking it serious. I don't know what her story is. I don't know what's going on with her. I'm just only critiquing the in-ring work here. And in this particular situation, Julia, I feel, has fallen off greatly, and Sky Blue has elevated. And I feel like at this point she can't go any further because Julia is just kind of like a giant sack of sand uh that's just hanging on to her. and the more Sky Blue tries to do something that stands out, the more Julia puts water in her bag of sand. Like it just gets heavier. Um Tekla is kind of, she's separate from that because she's not in a tag team with Julia. Like Tekla can go and do as she pleases, which is how she ended up with this belt. She can go out there and shine bright. Sky can't do that, and I don't know what to do about that. I don't know what's going on with Julia, but I hope that whatever is going on gets worked out and she can get back to what I know she can do, and away from this Serena Deeb type vibe. I'm sorry, but I used to like Serena Deeb too. So the same thing. When she left, she came back and everything she did was fucking ass. And I feel real bad about saying that, but it none of it looked good. Some of the stuff was comical in its setup. Um and it changed her vibe. And I can't be the only person that feels that way. Where is she? Um I don't see her on television. Maybe she's still working with AEW back, back in the background, or ROH or
or
something.
Ring of
But
Honor or something.
my
Yeah.
point is, she's not on television. That's my point. And not even on Collision, which is supposed to be their meh show. And sometimes it ain't. Sometimes it is, sometimes it ain't. But this match was just okay to begin with, and then that really horrible attempt at a move that I just saw one match before, that just really killed it for me. So I know I said I didn't have a lot to say, and I feel like I'm just repeating what I feel about this match over and over. But long story short, it was meh.
Yeah, I am inclined to agree. To add to what you said, I will say that I'm not sure what we're expected to feel about the Triangle of Madness.
Yeah,
And Tekla, to some extent, like Tekla can wrestle, but for
you're
some
right.
reason we keep seeing her. I guess they just want to make sure she stays heel, but she keeps trying to resort to things like brass knuckles and underhanded tactics when her hitting a spear and a stomp gets the job done. But these resorts to these other things, coupled with the fact that, like, generally speaking, the other members of Triangle of Madness almost present zero threat, at least whenever we see them in the ring. I'm not sure how to take Triangle of Madness as a dangerous group.
Yeah,
I feel like Tekla needing to resort to shenanigans to get the win is undermining the fact that she actually can wrestle.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I feel like they keep doing that to show us that she needs the triangle, which I disagree with. I don't think she does, but I think they're just trying to make it be like, yeah, no, see, she needs to be with these other ladies because she can win, but she needs help a lot, which is
yeah.
just kind of weird. That's a weird flex.
But on the opposite end of that, I mean, the Burling Birds are looking just fine. We
Yeah,
actually got to see them. They did hit two birds, one stone, but that just was like used as like a setup to Hater drilling Julia Hart with the Haterade, and Julia Hart takes the pin for the loss here. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not sure what has led to kind of the fall of Julia Hart, because pre-injury she was the AEW Women's Champion, and now she looks like the jobbiest of jobbers when she's in the ring. And
yeah,
and I would love to see that turn around. Like I say this, and I feel like that's an unfortunate thing that we've come to, because
yeah,
you know I believe we've seen that she can do better. Um, I would like to see her do better. But yeah, I feel like Julia Hart is somehow the weakest link in Triangle of Madness, because I feel like Sky Blue, since coming back from her injury, has redoubled her efforts, and she's certainly not missed any leg days since coming
no,
back from her injury. Like, she looks like she's, like, as far as her in-ring fitness, I don't think it's ever been better. Um, so yeah, I just it left me in a weird spot with this particular match because I had just said I would love to see the Brawling Birds face off against somebody other than a squash match, and I feel like they faced off against somebody who's a relatively big name in the women's division. Like they want the Triangle of Madness to be big, and Tekla is the women's champion. But this still felt a lot like a squash match, and it also had the
Yeah.
unfortunate like triples, the 6-person suplex that we saw again, and it just went badly. So this was unfortunately out of a match, out of a night that only had 4 matches. This was the stinker.
Yeah, I do not disagree.
But following that match, we see Darby Allin come to the ring, and I was like, "Oh snap! Is he going to wrestle?" Because he came out like with a full entrance and everything. But it turns out he just came in to cut a promo and call out MJF. And he also addressed, what's this BS with the Don Callis family working on MJF's behalf? It's because MJF is scared. And that's a reference to the fact that I believe on the collision that we didn't cover, Darby Allin got obliterated by Mark Davis. But long story short, as much as he called out for MJF, it's only the Don Callis family that responds, and they come out. And Don Callis announces that MJF has paid them a lot of money to take care of this particular problem. But he's got a message for Darby Allin. If Darby can beat a member of the family at Dynasty that is handpicked by MJF, MJF will grant Darby Allin a title shot, after Dynasty. There is obviously the assumption that MJF is going to continue to win. And the opponent that's been picked for him is Andrade El Idolo. To Andrade's surprise. And then
That guy's
Callis
just
says,
not feeling this MJF shit.
No, he's not, and neither is Kyle Fletcher. None of them neither of those two men are thrilled that they are working for the champion instead of trying to become the champion.
Yeah.
But Callis announces that MJF paid for something else, and he orders, let's see, I think it was Lance Archer, El Clone, and I'm blanking on the third luchador, the one that does the like trance dancing.
Sarah?
One more time.
Hechicera?
Hechicera, thank you. Yes. So he gets all 3 of them to try and rush the ring and attack Darby, and Lance Archer tries to just step into the ring like it's any other day, and Darby Allin just clocks him over the head with the skateboard. And then before the other 2 manage to get into the ring, out come Jack Perry and Brody King to even the odds. And then there's sort of a weird stare down between all 3 of like Darby Allin, Brody King, and Jack Perry. And then out comes Kenny Omega. And Kenny Omega gets in there, and I thought they were going to address something, but Darby Allin exits the ring and sees Kenny on the entrance ramp as Kenny is coming and he's going, and they say something briefly, and that just sort of brings an end to that segment. It turns out that the reason Kenny Omega was out there was just so because he was going to sit also shirtless, and this time in tiny shorts, was to sit at ringside for the main event, which will be MJF defending, or not defending, but versus the AEW World's Trios Champion Speedball Mike Bailey. So Omega just came out to sit at commentary, and the commentary team's like, well, what did you say to Darby Allin? And Omega's very evasive about it, but it turns out it was kind of like not much. Just that he reiterated that he feels like Darby Allin probably deserves a shot if he manages to retain at Dynasty at the AEW World Championship. And that brings us to the main event, which, as previously stated, is MJF versus Speedball Mike Bailey. And MJF, of course, comes out and does the entire American Hero thing.
The entire American Hero thing.
He has the dapper yapper say this dump of a country, Canada, versus, the superior country, the United States of America. Lord. And then when he does his whole kneel down, the MJF United States flag comes down, and it was just It was all of the everything. It was hilarious. And then Speedball Mike Bailey, as an answer to that, comes to the ring in a like full Canadian maple leaf like robe. So he's like, "I am the Avatar of Canada." Um, so
He
we're
really
already
is.
to a great start. What were your thoughts about this particular match?
This was just a good match. This is one of those matches where you get to see MJF be amazing without any of the gimmicks. You know what I mean? Like, of course, he did his classic eye pokes and whatnot. Um,
Sportsmanship.
yeah, he did his classics, but there was really no. This was just a clean, uh, somewhat brutal match. Like MJF and Mike Bailey, and boy, they put their AEW has put their faith in the right guy in Mike Bailey. I cannot sing this dude's praises enough. He's the real deal. Like anybody they put him in the ring with, real deal. And it's freaking refreshing. He's quickly becoming one of my favorites. Um him and Will Ospreay. Like just one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. His demeanor, his personality, uh his promo work, his in-ring work, everything. I am a Mike Bailey fan.
Yeah,
Um
fully agree. Bailey is a total package wrestler. He's good at all of it, and his in ring is superb.
yes, like just chef's kiss. Uh, this was no exception. Him and MJF. Oh my God! I didn't know. I didn't know that I needed to see this, but I'll watch it again. They can run that back. MJF is a
Seriously.
freaking beast. Like he does not need to cheat. He doesn't need to do this or that to win a match. He could just straight up whip ass. That dude is freaking. He's freaking awesome. Like I know people we're not supposed to like MJF, but what the fuck ever. That dude is freaking awesome in the ring. Like just anyway. This was a great match. I thought it was a great ender for the show. What did you think?
I'm inclined to agree with you wholeheartedly. Um, and it was a great match, not just because of like the kind of antics opening up with like USA versus Canada, which was just fun. Um, and that carries through the entire time because like near the end of the match when MJF hits Mike Bailey with a tombstone pile driver on the apron that leads to the heat seeker, just before he drops the heat seeker, he says, "God bless the United States" to the crowd, just to taunt them one final time before picking up the pinfall
Guy.
victory. But these guys hit like all of their stuff. Like MJF hit Mike Bailey with like a power bomb, like power bomb to backbreaker kind of thing over the knee. That was sick. There was a point where Mike Bailey came off the apron over the top rope and leapt at MJF, and MJF caught him and just slammed him down with a sit out power bomb that was nasty looking. So yeah, MJF absolutely is able to do it all in the ring, and Speedball much the same. Like we saw, like there was a point where Speedball threw two roundhouse kicks, and MJF dodged both of them, only to eat like a thrusting side kick into the throat on the end of it.
Yeah.
And so Speedball strikes are absolutely second to none. Like his strikes are really good. His high flying game is very, very good. I really like the moonsault that he tends to hit. Like he'll throw somebody out of the ring and then moonsault them all in one fluid motion. Um, his Ultima weapon that he did to MJF looked super gross. Like it looked like it actually just demolished MJF's like kidneys.
Yeah.
The flipping double knee drop that he tends to hit people with when he's got them on the apron looks absolutely disgusting. Like I have no idea how they take that move and not just eat knees. Like I don't know how he softens that for them or if he does at all, but it looks just brutal. And so they gave it all in this. But ultimately, it turned out, despite like some eye pokes and some other things, there was not as much overt cheating from MJF. Like he didn't go get a chair or a championship belt or use the Dynamite Diamond ring. He ultimately just ends up beating Speedball legit. Um, so a really strong main event. I agree with what you said. I didn't know this was the match we needed to see, but we absolutely are better off for having seen it, and they can absolutely run that back.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
fantastic main event, and we end up with MJF attempting to assault Speedball more, after the bell, but Kenny Omega hits the ring, and that sends MJF running instantly. And I believe we more or less went off the air with MJF, taunting him from the entrance ramp and then leaving, and then Omega checking on Speedball. And eventually, Speedball's able to get back up. The Canada crowd cheers for him, and Omega and Speedball are posing in the ring for Canada as the show goes off the air. So, that being the case, now that we've arrived at the end of AEW Dynamite, what would be your review for this episode?
I It's kind of hard because there's only 4 matches here, and I'm used to them giving us at least 6.
Yeah.
Um, but the matches that were here were good, save one. Um, so I'm torn between a 7.5 and an 8. And while those are very small differences between the two, one is top tier and the other isn't, right? So, man, this is a tough one. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna have to include uh the promos and all of that happened as well, since it was a part of the show. Chris Jericho's reintroduction, which was awesome. That was good. Watching Will Ospreay attack John Moxley backstage was good. The contract signing between the two was entertaining, and while it was lengthy, I always appreciate the fact that AEW cuts that shit pretty short comparatively. Just say what you need to say, you say what you need to say, and then either fight it out or not, but let's get it moving, let's keep it popping. The match between Kenny Omega, Jungle, Jack Perry, Brody King versus the Demand, that was good. So and with all that in mind, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage doing their thing with FTR. Christian Cage about to hit Rennie Packet, which is just no entertaining. Uh Will Ospreay getting brutalized by Pac was hard to watch, but good storytelling. So with all that, I'm gonna give it an 8 because it was a very entertaining show, and I still felt the way I usually feel whenever I'm watching AEW and it's over. I was like, "Oh, is that it? Is it that's done?" Um, so yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm gonna say that it was top tier. What did you think?
I'm you very close to did the same thing I did. If I rate it just on matches, um, I probably bumped down to a 7.75.
Right.
But then I have to consider that we had our wigs blown off at the beginning of the show with Chris Jericho's return, especially after how much of like the internet wrestling community were sure that Chris Jericho was going to WWE.
Yeah. Just on a regular Wednesday night.
Yeah. And so Jericho came back. We had Ospreay and Moxley. They're doing a lot of build up for Dynasty, and I think that's cool. I would say my only two negatives were the use of the 6-person suplex spot in the women's match, that was real bad. Like for all the reasons stated earlier, I won't rehash it. Um, and we only had 4 matches, so out of those 4, having one that was kind of a Lulu, that's a pretty big ding. But I'm with you. Everything else that built on story was pretty good. Now, I will add this one little cautionary. As an AEW fan, I've often sung their praises for being able to get like 6 or 7 matches into 2 hours. And then here we had 2 hours and 4 matches. That's feeling very WWE esque, and not in a good way, not at all in a good way. I understand that there was a lot of stuff going on, but the last 2 shows that I watched were last week's Collision, and we were so unmotivated by Collision that we didn't even do a podcast on it. And it's because it didn't move the needle. None of the matches were particularly compelling, even though they were wrestled well. And here it's kind of the opposite, where they had very few matches, but most of them were very good, and a lot of the other stuff was very compelling. So I just want AEW to continue to keep firing on all cylinders with that momentum they had from a banger 2025 and here through almost to the middle of certainly the beginning of the second quarter of 2026. I don't want to feel like they're spinning down or they're making decisions that, are not what makes AEW better than WWE and why we cover them now instead.
Yeah.
And so seeing a Dynamite that only has 4 matches was like squinty eye.
Yeah.
So I hope that's not a new trend. I like that it's very action forward and it's about the wrestling. I don't need like to lose almost half of the available matches when you were doing 6 or 7 down to 4 for promo spots. So I'm hoping this is an occasion, not a new trend.
Yeah.
That said, I will say this probably because the return of Jericho and a lot of the buildup was very good and several of the matches were good. There was only one, and really only one because of a really poor choice of spots that wasn't that good. This will edge into top tier because it's worth it to see everything else that happened. Like those parts were all extremely good and not brought down enough by what was not great.
Yeah.
But I do offer that caveat. Like, I don't want this to be a trend. Like, Collision this last week felt more like a B show, and we've been on here saying it feels less and less like there's an A and B show. And then, like, AEW is like, ha, I'll show you. And then we've often been saying, look how much more you get done in 2 hours than WWE. And then you're like, well, now here we're just going to give you the same as, like, still beats 3 hours, 4 matches, but not by much. So these are not trends that I want to see happen with AEW. But I'm not going to take it out on this episode of Dynamite because this was actually a really good episode. And I think if you're an AEW fan, you would want to catch this episode if the opportunity arises. This is definitely one you want to see, especially with the return of Chris Jericho. And a lot happened for the build-up for the upcoming Dynasty in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that has been our coverage of AEW Dynamite, and I want to thank everybody who joined us for this episode, and I invite you to join us for our next episode, which should ideally be tomorrow night's Collision. Fingers crossed that it bucks the trend that we've seen set with the last Collision and is a real banger.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. But all that said, I don't think there's much left for me to do but roll the outro.
Bye, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest wrestling news and shows. You can find us on all major podcast platforms as well as our YouTube channel where we upload all of our episodes. You could also follow us on Instagram and X for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.